Hey, Denver. Today, we're going to be doing a deal analysis about an off-market duplex that Lauren Valenotti found to one of our newer investor clients. And it's a great opportunity for increasing the rents, possibly pulling out some money, and a possible development play down the road. So a great deal to talk about. And we have Lauren in the studio. Lauren, how are you?
Doing good.
Yeah, I'm excited to talk about this deal because this is a fun one that you found. And we also have our client in the studio too, one of the investors in this property, Alex Cowan. So we got in touch about a year and a half ago. Alex from Florida, young guy, bought his first house hack last year, and then created a partnership and bought his first investment property, which is his duplex. Alex, how are you, man?
Good. I'm doing great. Thanks for having me. Very excited to talk about this deal. I think it's a great one for younger investors who are ready to make that jump, and I'm excited to give them some wisdom. So.
All right. So Lauren, you found this property. Just kind of give us the overview about the duplex, how you found it. Set the stage.
Yeah. So we found this off-market property through our brokerage network. They were selling two of their properties. And so it was kind of a package deal. They were looking to offload both units at the exact same time. So I was just kind of racking my brain, just trying to think of two individuals that we've been working with to see if this would be a good fit, a good partnership with. And Alex and one of our other clients, we were able to start the process on peeling back the onion to find out if this was going to be a good opportunity or not.
And so it was two duplexes.
Two duplexes
okay.
Right next to each other.
Yeah, and great locations. It's in Athmar Park.
Yep.
And I mean, Alex, set the stage here because you bought your first house hack last year in 2020, right?
Yes.
And then looking to get into this property, set the stage for what you and your partners were looking for.
It was actually possibly early 2021, so it was pretty quick of a transition. And in retrospect, we wish we got both of those duplexes. It turned out to be that great of an opportunity. So yeah, off-market deal like you touched on. And it was a very interesting situation. The owner that previously owned it had passed away, and it was kind of left in disrepair, and not a lot of basic maintenance was done, and as a result caused issues. But in retrospect as well, it was great for us because not only did we get a better deal on the property, because it was in seemingly very poor condition. We also, in one of the tightest, most competitive markets, got concessions from them. So it ended up being a win-win-win in all ways.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So let's dive into the spreadsheet here and start plugging some numbers, and we'll kind of tell the story along the way. So for those of you listening to the podcast, we'll do our best to talk the numbers, but as always, it's in the show notes. And will be in the YouTube video as well. So Denver duplex. So we got two units here for duplex. And just for clarity, I know I said you're house hacking. You're not house hacking this duplex. You bought another property in Denver, house hacking. This is pure investment with your partners. Mm-hmm. So we'll select an investment property. And what was the purchase price?
It was $420.
Yeah, it was like $420.
$420.
We got it for.
$420. And what was like, you put the offer in, you go under contract, we do the inspection. You already alluded to the fact that there was some deferred maintenance, I think you put it politely.
Yes.
What was the property condition like? What popped up on the inspection?
So luckily we have a great inspector that we trust a lot. And he was to put it lightly, he didn't think it was in good condition. There were issues with water damage, which led to subfloor issues in multiple areas of the house. Under the kitchen sink, there was a leak there that wasn't fixed. It caused a lot of subfloor issues. Same with the bathroom, toilet. And we found out that the water heater was causing a lot of issues. The backflow valve was leaking onto the floor. So subfloor issues, which led to mold as well. So it looked bad. But like I said, it ended up being good.
And so, Lauren, I mean, you see a bazillion inspection reports as an agent. Like, what was your take and what stood out to you?
I mean, it was not as bad. Let me tell you, my inspector's great. We partner with professionals. This is probably one of the most important parts of the whole entire deal. He was just painting a picture of a lot of repairs that was needing to be done. But at the end of the day, we were able to bring our contractors in there, get 2 separate quotes to be able to just arm them with the data. And really, we were just looking at repair costs and what the potential for increase in rents was going to look like. And then also down the road for potential development play. So these guys, are definitely more seasoned investors, more risk tolerance. They were looking for a project. So it was kind of checking the boxes, for their personality type and investment play. If it was a turnkey person, would definitely say, let's keep on walking. But this one fit really, really well for these guys.
Great.
Yeah. And Lauren kind of touched on it. It's important not only to get that inspection, but to also walk through these properties with the contractor you plan on working with, so you can make a educated investment decision with the numbers that are going to play out. It's much less hypothetical and more concrete when a contractor says, hey, these are the issues that the inspection report shows, and this is how much I'm going to quote, and this is the scope of work that it's going to be to solve these problems. And that's when you can put in an educated offer and make better decisions.
So what do you guys what did you estimate for the repair cost? What was the actual repair cost on here?
Yeah, so our estimated repair costs were very accurate because we walked the property beforehand with the contractor that we were going to do the work with. I
think it's like it was like a $5,000 difference. It was $15,000 for one unit and $20,000 for the other. And you said it ended up being $20,000 and $20,000 for each.
Yeah.
So about $40,000 total for everything?
About $40,000 total.
And what did you rehab on there for $40,000? Because that's a good chunk of money.
So it was, one unit was in worse condition than the other. So in the first unit, pulling out the entire kitchen, redoing subflooring in the kitchen, a lot of drywall, and then reinstalling the kitchen with appliances and cabinets. Of course, paint throughout. A lot of holes in touch up and paint. The same. We put vinyl plank throughout the entire house to keep it uniform. Easy maintenance. It lasts much longer than carpet. Mm-hmm. So it was a little more expensive, but it was definitely worth the investment because it's not going to have to be replaced every so many years. Because it's a 2-bedroom, 1 bathroom in each of the units. New bathroom. We put like a subway tile, kept it simple, clean colors, easy maintenance, and it just made the process. And we'll do them both the same.
So fairly, a lot of work, but sounds like mostly cosmetic.
Yeah, it was a lot of work, but it was quick work. Yeah,
Did you do it yourself or hire people?
No. Yeah, we hired a contractor to do it.
Why did you not do it yourself? Because you're kind of
Yeah.
You're young, newer investor. A lot of people jump to doing it themselves.
Yeah. I guess there's 2 boats there. There's the do-it-yourself, and then I'm in the boat of I only have a certain amount of time in the day. I think a professional contractor will do it higher quality and faster. We wanted to get this unit done in 1 month so that we could get them, at the higher rent the next month. So it was just logistically easier that way. And the quality of work at the end just seemed to be higher. And so it worked.
And a special note too on this one was he was able to keep the current renters in place and increase their rent.
Oh,
yep.
Do tell more.
Right?
Like they were both in the unit while you were remodeling?
They were both occupied when he bought the property. And then how did you guys handle the rehab portion with the family in there?
Yeah,
Did you house them?
So when it comes to like in the end of this, like at the end of the day, we're providing housing for people, right? So we want, like, the people are first. The residents, the tenants are who we care about. So we want to make their lives easy. At first we thought maybe we'll just have them stay in a hotel for the time period. They didn't want to. They work very close to where they live. They wanted to stay in the house, and they were okay with staying in the house while the renovation was going on. So I spoke with the contractor, and he was okay with making it work. So we did the kitchen and living room area first, while they stayed in their bedrooms. and luckily they have cousins or family right in the same neighborhood, so they used their kitchen, their cousin's kitchen or something like that. And when we finished the front of the house, they put their bed, their mattresses in the completed area, and really the bedrooms were very quick. We just did flooring. We got in there in maybe like a week and did the flooring and paint and lighting throughout. So it was quick and it worked perfectly, and I think everyone was happy. Of course, we didn't
charge a rent break or.
Yep, of course we didn't charge them rent during that month. And I think it was a win-win for everyone. They got to stay in their house during that period. We got to get it renovated, and of course they weren't charged rent. So
and you basically had almost like zero vacancy from your rehab time.
Yeah, just that, I guess technically that month, but
$1,000.
$1,000.
Yeah, that's
for a $500 rent increase.
Yeah. Okay.
Yeah.
So that the rents increased from $1,000 to $1,500 per side.
Yeah. So we felt regardless it was underpriced. I think they bumped up the rent when they were selling it to show like, hey, we're bringing in this much, but we felt it was undervalued already. And with the quality of finishes that we put in, the amount of work that we put in, I think most people don't live in a place that nice. And for $1,500 for a 2-bedroom in Denver with a new bathroom, it seems like a great deal.
Yeah,
so
you could have probably pushed it higher, I think, too.
And what was great too is that we were able to pre-negotiate the rent increases with them also throughout the whole entire transaction. Not only was the contractor just great in regards of getting the work done so quickly, but he acted as a translator for Alex and his partners throughout the whole time. They were Spanish speaking. And he was really able to kind of bridge the gap, bring them into the whole understand what was happening, what the pros for them of working through this process with them and the rent increases, versus going ahead and vacating the property and then finding new housing. They really, really wanted to stay in this property. So everyone was able to communicate clearly through our contractor, which was super helpful, as obviously it's great.
Good. Yeah. All right. So $1,500 per rent on each side, right? Mm-hmm. And then interest rate, I think you said before, was like 4 3/8.
Yep.
So 4.375.
Yep.
And I mean, you bought this property still when there was that, we were talking about this before the podcast, when whatever part of the lending process had the investor hike on the interest rates and that's the upfront fees. So, you got the interest rate, you're paying a little bit more than.
Yeah. HUD was doing something with interest rates, messing with it a little bit at the time. It was a very interesting time, as we all know. So, still, in the grand scheme of things, that's an extremely low interest rate, and we should all be thankful for these interest rates.
Exactly.
It is higher than it could have been possibly, but we're very happy. In the end, that interest rate of a difference of a tiny number doesn't kill the deal, so we're happy with it.
It won't have an impact on your long-term wealth building. That's the thing. Like you're talking about a few bucks right now. And I forgot to mention, so I'm assuming, did you put down 25%?
I think we had to put 25% down.
Because you did a 30-year fixed, right?
30-year fixed.
25%. So, I mean, vacancy, we'll leave it at 3%, even though you basically had, a little bit of downtime with the rehab. But it sounds like those tenants will probably stay there for a long time if they work close by.
Absolutely.
They're probably stoked about a brand new, unit. They have family nearby. I mean, those are going to be like long-term tenants. So you're probably going to be very close to zero vacancy, which is huge for cash flow.
Definitely. They've lived there for a long time previously in the poor conditions. I think they're extremely happy with the new conditions. The children go to school down the block. They work down the block. I definitely agree with you that it's going to be a long-term tenant. So
good.
We'll definitely.
That's a good win-win.
Yeah.
Property management. Are you self-managing or do you have a property manager?
We are using a property manager as well.
What's your monthly fee? 8%, 10%? Do you remember?
I believe it's because we work with Lauren and
Ellie.
the referral and Ellie.
Great.
I think it's 7 or 8.
Okay.
7% maybe.
So 7% sounds about right. Monthly reserves for maintenance. So this is a fully remodeled place. Did you earmark it lower than 8%, or would you kind of use your model?
it's still not a new build, so we ran it at 8%.
Okay.
You know, just to be safe. It doesn't hurt to have a little extra cash there.
Oh yeah.
So
HOAs, no. Lauren, what's the taxes?
$22.50.
$22.50. You guys remember property insurance? Probably about what, $1,800, $2,000?
I would say $1,800.
Yeah, I
yeah,
mean,
it's low.
it
So
should
low in
not be.
Colorado.
Water, sewer. Are the tenants paying that, or are you the landlord paying that?
Yeah. So the tenants, water and sewer, electric, they take care of that. And then we can touch on it later. It's separate. They're both separately metered as well.
For electric and gas?
Definitely for water. Yeah. I believe for electric and gas.
Oh,
as
wow.
Well.
Okay.
I'm
so
not 100% sure.
That's great. So then really no utilities, landscaping. It's a side-by-side duplex, right, if I recall?
Yeah.
Yeah. So are they taking care of their own landscaping and snow removal?
No. Snow removal, I would assume so, yes.
Okay.
That's probably in their contract to remove the snow within 24 hours after it snow. At least on the public sidewalks, I think you have to do that. But when it comes to landscaping, we're taking care of that.
Okay.
We want to put a little money into the landscaping.
Yep.
Not too much, but just to spruce it up so that it's something that they can be proud of.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Would you earmark a year for that?
It's probably like, I don't know, divided over 12 months, $30 a month.
Okay. So we're talking not much then. So 12 times 30, about 300,
maybe
bucks a year.
500.
We'll say $500 a year.
Yeah.
All right. So going to the cash flow tab. So I mean, these are post numbers of you bought the property, had a month of turn time, $40,000 into it, and it turns out you're cash flowing $6,000 a year.
Yeah.
That's awesome.
It's
great.
It's pretty great because, we did have that initial upfront renovation cost, but we ran these numbers and we knew it was going to be 3.5, 4 years, maybe 4.5 years before that $40,000 was paid back. But that's not bad. A cash flow of over $6,000, we're very happy with.
Yes.
So great as a rental play, but then also to, you guys are forward thinking and thinking about the other plays that you guys will be able to do with this property.
Yeah, let's talk about that.
Yeah. Okay.
Because there is potential here for knowing the area, knowing the market, knowing the value increased in there. You have forced some appreciation of the property as well.
Yeah.
I know one of your partners is also a mortgage professional.
Mm-hmm.
So have you guys talked about possibly refinancing and pulling out some cash, or kind of done a timeline on like that? Because then all you guys are numbers guys.
Yeah. So I'm very lucky. Yes, we're numbers guys, but at the same time, they're very, I guess the word would be like chill about this. We all trust each other to go through all the options and see what the best option at hand is. But yeah, this is a super interesting neighborhood. It's an opportunity zone. So with that comes a lot of development. The street's already developing. The neighborhood in general has come a long way, and we think it's going to continue going that way. But with that, there's a lot of exit opportunities, different options what we can do with this property if you want to go into those specifically.
What'd you guys outline?
Yeah, so when we purchased the property, we definitely outlined the fact that it's a corner property, and Lauren mentioned how important this is if we ever do want to develop this property.
Why is that important?
We think the corner is important because it gives us a lot of flexibility with placement of garages, things like that. It just feels larger, correct? Setbacks. So if the neighborhood supports it in the future and we hold it for that extended period of time, we're not opposed to scraping the lot and developing it. We're also
a standard 6250-ish lot.
It's zoned for 2 units. So I don't know the exact lot size on it, but yeah, definitely would be able to look, depending upon the market at that point in time when they want to develop it, scrape it and put up 2 larger.
So zoned R2
duplexes.
and a big enough lot to.
Yeah.
Okay.
Exactly.
Cool.
Yeah, and we also touched that there's another identical duplex next door, and we do know the owners, also investors next door, and they mentioned that they were possibly interested in going down that route if it makes sense to develop the entire.
Do 4 units.
Oh yeah.
So yeah, they're another Castle agent who bought the other property.
Oh, great.
Yeah.
Okay. Yeah, I would definitely stay in touch with them.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, definitely. We have a great relationship.
Good.
We do landscaping together, and we talked about exterior work. So it's good to have when buying a duplex like that, whether it's attached or detached to the other owners, just having a good relationship with your neighbors next door in the long run is probably worth it.
So development is one option.
Yeah.
And you're just talking with the other investor and your guys' own planning. Do you have like a rough time window, or too hard to tell?
Well, it's all about numbers, right? I think Preston, his formula, I think is like 40%, like the land cost needs to be 40% of the sale price. So it's all dependent upon how quickly that area is going to appreciate for them to be able to figure out if it makes sense for them to do a scrape. Because the other development or the other play would be where you can just upgrade. He did just enough upgrades to the property to make it cash flow as heavy possible on the rental side. But we also just talked about delaying the full finishes until he wants to maybe subdivide the property, because it is going to be a rental. These guys do have a lot of people living in the unit. They do live hard. So if he were to go in and fully update the unit to the finishes of what he would want to take it to market and get max amount of money to sell it, most likely it would be destroyed. So wait, let it appreciate, and then go put the quartz countertop in. He was able to buy used cabinets, go and buy the whole package, fully update it to match the market trends at that point in time, and subdivide the property and sell them as two separate units. Yeah,
and these units are not, this is kind of off topic, but these units are small in square footage wise, but they just feel so much larger on the inside. With a 2-bedroom and a bathroom in 700 square feet, it would feel like it would be very cramped, but you go in there and it's just like, so it's a great feels layout. Large. So it just feels good.
Yeah. And the location definitely gives itself. I mean, it's 8 minutes to downtown Denver. You're on the west side of town, so you're able to kind of hit all those buzz areas to get to the mountains. So I mean, it would be able to easily sell at that below the half million mark, and it'd be a great starter home for someone who would get excited about wanting to buy a half of a duplex for their primary home.
So that's another thing. Okay, so we got two options here. One's a potential development play, scrape and build, brand new home, or most likely like a duplex.
More of a long shot. That's more of a long shot, right?
More of a,
if we're placing bets,
Well, I mean, I know a neighbor's done it down there. Or doing the subdivide, which is keep the existing structure, go in there, complete remodel, but make unit A, unit B, two separate legal addresses, and sell off to individual people.
Yeah, and a lot of people have been doing that in Denver. It's doable. People have done it. And that rezone unlocks a lot of value. From a $430,000 duplex, like Lauren said, each unit could sell over upwards of 300 each. We could be unlocking potentially hundreds of $1,000s in value there. So depending on how it plays out, it could be the way that we do this. It looks very good.
All right.
Yeah.
What about pull on some equity at some point? Is that on the radar for like while you're waiting for the market and that neighborhood to do its thing? Because that's, as you said earlier, that's just something kind of wait for the market to do it until the numbers and timing make sense. Like, oh, great, it makes sense to subdivide, makes sense to sell or develop. In the winning game, you're cash flowing, you're an appreciating asset. What about potentially pulling out some equity and the value you've created?
Definitely. That's definitely the third option, right?
Okay.
Pulling out this, whether it's through a refinance of some sort, whether we split it or not, refinancing it, pulling out cash, possibly a HELOC or whatever the term is for, a line of credit on the house. There's different scenarios we can run through, and I guess that just depends on what it appraises for, right? So I know you all have a system that you like to run through that will help us decide on the best option. When it comes to that. If you want to touch on that, we can. Or
yeah, I mean, that's kind of like more of like a return on equity analysis we do helps kind of figure out, hey, refinance or sell. We can run the property through it. I mean, after the podcast, it's probably too early since you just closed on this a little bit ago. But something you might want to keep in mind as we should talk about as we kind of like, every year goes by, revisit the numbers. Like, we can pull some comps, get a rough idea what the value of the property is. Because to actually do a refinance, $1,000 for an appraisal on there to see what comes in at.
Mm-hmm.
But a strategy I would definitely consider is, it's going to be a couple years before I think it really makes sense to develop. Might be sooner for a subdivide and sell, but probably wait a little bit longer to really maximize that value. In that couple year waiting period, you might be able to pull out some cash, tap in that equity sooner, and then go out there and redeploy it and buy another property that much quicker. So almost like not quite a burr, but like a delayed burr between market appreciation, you added value, you got the best of both worlds going on. Crazy Denver market. You guys added a lot of value here.
Yeah, 100% agree. And just to touch on it, like, I'm a strong believer that in order to build this portfolio as a younger person, the leverage has to be there. So pull out the cash, redeploy it, like you said, and keep moving. We're in a secure market here. And, as long as we make good investment decisions, that seems like the best plan.
All right. So I want to ask you a few more questions about your overall strategy, Alex. Anything else to talk about specifically or tactically on this property that you guys want to touch on? I hit all my questions.
I think we've touched on them all right.
Mm-hmm. Okay. So I want to have you talk a little about Alex because you put in your notes on here, hey, you've been interested in real estate for a while. Mm-hmm. It's been in the back of your mind, as you, for a couple of years. The pandemic hit, and it sounded like you started saying, hey, I can sit on the sidelines or I can make something happen. Like, what triggered in your mind to go out there and get off the sidelines and take action? And then, a year later, you got two great properties.
Yeah, a pandemic is a great excuse to not do things right.
Yeah, watch Tiger King on Netflix all day instead.
I'm not gonna say I didn't watch Tiger King. I did get through Tiger King, and that might have been the moment when I was like, "Am I gonna watch Tiger King for a year, or are we gonna actually do something?" There's a lot of quotes of professional athletes. When you're not working, your competition. I'm not saying everyone's competition, but others are working, right?
Yep.
So we got to get out there and do that. There's a lot of educational materials that I was listening to, while being at home, and this was just continuing to push me to want to make that
just
move.
like podcasts, audiobooks, YouTube, things like that.
Exactly, all of those podcasts, major, just listening to other people's stories. This is not new. People have done this, and they're willing to show you how they've done it and teach you. So that really de-risks the situation a lot, and helps when making that first jump.
All right. And so speak on a little bit about what your strategy is, because you are doing a strategy I love. You're house hacking, and you're also doing some active investing with partners. Kind of like what's your strategy and how you're balancing out those two investment strategies right now?
Yeah, it's really interesting. Of course, I work a full-time W-2 regular job, and I use that job to kind of finance my personal house hacking. When it comes to personal house hacking, if I could give any person my age or someone looking to get into real estate, I would say house hack. Start now. The interest rates are very low. Threshold when it comes to down payments and the amount of cash that you need are very low, and it is an amazing way. And I know, Chris, you touch on this all the time. It's an amazing way to build wealth. It's not an instantaneous, you're not striking gold instantly, but it's a longer term way to be very, very, if not more than very financially stable when you're older. Can't stress that enough.
And how did it come out, because you have a partnership, because you bought the house hack. You got the house hack you're living in, then you got the partnership for this duplex. Give everyone a quick rundown on how you kind of formed the partnership, because a lot of people talk about partnerships. A lot don't move forward with it for a variety of reasons. But you did. Guys bought a property. The partnership's running well. Give a little tips on what people can do to form a great partnership and what roles that you've established with your two other partners.
Yeah. I guess when it comes to roles, try to find partners that you all have different strengths. You all can help with the workload, and you know, where your weaknesses are, their strengths are. That's super important.
So can I put you on the spot, like for this deal, what's your strength and one of your other two partners' strengths, kind of like just from a high level?
Yeah, so you touched on the fact that one of my partners is a mortgage banker. So when it comes to the financing aspect of it, he's extremely helpful in ensuring that we're making the right decisions when it comes to loans or those types of things. I have another partner who is a finance mind. All numbers, really helps with the underwriting and ensuring that these are good deals. And then I think in the end, real estate's kind of like a business, right? It's like we're entrepreneurs here. So every business partnership kind of needs that catalyst. And I think that's kind of where I fit in. I'm ensuring that we're actually going to do this, we have all the pieces here, and they're also down in Miami. So I'm the boots on the ground, speaking with lenders, agents, walking these properties.
So you're really the operator.
Yeah, exactly. And we're all essential in this.
You found, all the key pieces, the agent, you walk the property, the general contractor, you're dealing with the tenants, the property management side of things. So heavily on the operations side for sure.
Yeah.
All right. So after we wrap up here, I always like to ask people, this question. What's one thing that you would impart upon our listeners, other people wanting to, do what you're doing? Like, what advice would you give people listening out there?
Yeah. I would really say to take action now, sooner rather than later. Like I said, there's so much content out there. Podcasts, local RIAs, those are extremely, extremely important when it comes to meeting investors that are, boots on the ground. People are out there to help. RIAs are great. Talk to mentors, find people that you trust that have done it before. Find a good agent, of course, very important, and just educate yourself, and while you're doing that, just take action. The hardest part of starting is starting, and the hardest part of getting into real estate, I felt personally, was just making that jump, and there's ways to de-risk it. So just know that success is right there outside of your comfort zone. Go and get it. If it's not you, then who is it going to be? If you don't do it now, then when are you going to do it? So don't be afraid to reach out to people. And when it comes to reaching out, if you want to reach out to me, I would love to chat.
How can people get a hold of you? And of course, we'll put this in the show notes as well. Instagram, email, phone. What's your pick?
Yeah, so my LinkedIn will be in the show notes. Definitely add me over there and send me a message. My email, we could also put that in the show notes. Alex.Cowan 0130 @gmail.com. I would love to chat with you. This is what gets me excited. Just helping others. That's the important stuff.
I love it. Lauren, final question for you. I mean, you do a lot of deals, help a lot of clients like Alex and his partners. What advice do you have for people out there who want to get into the game, and like what do they need to do to be prepared to be able to come find a deal with you?
Yeah. I think starting with educating yourself, surrounding yourselves with individuals who are like-minded people. This is definitely a industry, like Alex was saying, we're not the first ones to be doing this. This has been going on for a while. And everyone in this community that I have found is very, very much open. There's enough for everybody to kind of get a piece of it. And we all become friends, and we all end up doing deals together, focusing on the financing piece, which is probably the part that is the least fun to be dealing with. But at the end of the day, it's the most important. So making sure you're reaching out to us, making sure you're reaching out to a lender. We work with some great lenders in town that can kind of get you a path created to be able to get all that stuff, put together, and then we can go do all the fun stuff, go out and hunt and get deals going.
And then get great numbers like this for Alex's property.
Yeah.
Guys, this is awesome. Lauren, thank you. Alex, thank you. And listeners out there, reach out to Alex, reach out to Lauren, reach out to me if you guys have questions. We all live here in Denver. We invest in Denver, and this is what we love doing. See you next week.